So you guys buckle up. Guess one thing I'm actually amazing at. I am amazing when it comes to studying abroad and also visas because I studied abroad twice in college. Once in Mexico, Cuernavaca, which is 2 hours south of Mexico City, and also in London, England. And I want to tell you my experience as someone who is a US citizen traveling out during university. And this was during my bachelor's degree specifically. I wanted to tell you about the process behind it and some advice too, because I am really a pro when it comes to this and also cheap flights. But I wanted to tell you my experiences because I've had multiple experiences. And also when it comes to visas too, I'm literally a pro in giving advice about it. So I actually have a lot of experience. I have experience in speaking Spanish too in Mexico because that's why I was studying abroad in Mexico for business in Spanish. And also, I was abroad in London for business. But I'm going to tell you how my experience was and the requirements and the process. So I studied abroad twice in college, and I studied abroad first in Mexico, and it was a smaller program. So it did not have a specific visa requirement because it was such a short program. However, it may have if there was like some sort of like working situation involved there. I'm not exactly sure the requirements about that, but it was such a short program that there was no visa requirement, which is awesome. And also, you guys, you want to know what was nice too? That was actually through my smaller school. So they even paid for our flights and we flew together. So it made it a lot easier as someone who never traveled abroad. So that was really exciting. And I didn't even have a passport until I traveled abroad. That was totally out of my comfort zone. But now I'm addicted, just like my dad was. But my dad traveled a lot out of the country for work. But I was new to it because we didn't do it as a family. And my mom doesn't really like traveling. And my sister didn't even have a passport until she was on her honeymoon. I was way different than her though because I got my passport when I was like 18, 19, something like that, when I first got into my program. But this program was so short that there was no visa requirement, which is amazing. And I also lived in a host family, which they said that I actually hit the lottery when it came to this host day because they were really rich and they loved travelers. It was awesome. We had our own guest house, you guys. We had our own pool. We had our own butler. We didn't want to leave. And also our host mom was the best chef, I swear to you. Like, they were such a lovely family. Yeah, I still think about that. That was literally the best experience ever. They were pro at it. But I also heard some horrible experiences from other people having situations where they didn't really like their host day. That's okay too. But I got lucky is what they said. So I'm so excited that I did. But so I'm very lucky sometimes. I don't know why. Randomly. But I got really lucky. And I did not want to leave. I would go back there in a heartbeat. But I flew into Mexico City. We had to take a bus to Cuernavaca. It was like 2.5 hours. And we flew in the middle of the night, which was scary. As someone who never traveled abroad, flying into Mexico City at night, that is scary. As someone who's new to it, I thought I made a mistake. And then the next morning I'm like, oh no, I didn't. I just couldn't see anything, But it's a little scary at first. And also our flight to Mexico also got delayed. So we all had to go into groups to fly to Mexico together. It was a whole mess. There was an issue, but we all made it there as soon as we could because I guess if we waited to get everyone on the same flight, it would have been a problem. We would have had to wait several days. I don't know exactly what it was. There was some sort of issue. There's always an issue with delays. But yeah, we figured it out with the whole group and we made it all work. But I also tell you that I was very prepared to travel because this professor was amazing and had us know everything we need to know. She gave us talking about how much you should pay for taxis, how much you should pay for X, Y, and Z, so that we wouldn't get scammed. Yeah, she definitely told us the rules that we should be following when we're there, which is very helpful. And yeah, I also kept a journal while I was there, which she told us to do it too, just to make sure that we remember everything. And yeah, I took a lot of beautiful photos too. It was such a fun experience. And the food was amazing. They're also known for tequila. We actually went to one of the tequila farms, is essentially what it was. And they had also, if you didn't know, tequila is made out of aloe plants. So they had all these aloe plants there, which is really cool. And we also got to drink their tequila. I swear to gosh, it's way better than the tequila here, it's a little bit sweeter and it goes down easier, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to try to, like, it's way better to drink. Like, you don't have to make it into like a margarita or have like a chaser. It's really good. Which is dangerous. But I couldn't bring any home because I was not of age, you guys, at that point. Which is also sad because isn't that weird? Like, every country is a little different when it comes to drinking. Like, actually, a lot of people travel abroad so they can drink. That's not why I was there, though. Although I was there to experience things. And I definitely did partake in it. That's not the main reason I was there. Although I did. But, yeah, I don't know why. The U.S. has some dumb rules about liquor. Anyway, if you can, like, go to war and pay taxes, you should be allowed to drink, I think. But, or even, like, have a kid, like, get married. Come on. Like, there's no way that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Or make medical decisions. Come on. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. But when we were in Mexico, I had a blast, and I got so addicted to it that I decided to study abroad again. Oh, also I have to say one other thing too. I guess this first program, I was very young to be traveling abroad. I guess a lot of freshmen don't normally travel abroad, but you can. However, I don't know if you can do it for a semester. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But I was allowed to my second semester because I had like grades there. I don't know that answer, but like I guess it's more rare for a freshman to do it, which I guess kind of makes sense. And also a senior. Like I shouldn't say less. It's more rare for the freshmen than the seniors, but the seniors are also less on the trip too. And especially like the last semester or last year, because like it's more complicated to even like graduate. So a lot of people can't do it. It just depends. You can make it work like with a contract too. But I'm just saying, as someone who studied abroad, I'm just telling you that you have to follow certain criteria for your school, and it might not work with what the curriculum is. It's a whole complicated thing. And a lot of people also transfer to, like, for example, my program, the last one, to the UK, London, it was through a different school. So it was even more complicated getting the right curriculum. Because that is also a dumb thing too. How come they don't just accept similar programs? I don't know why they don't have all the same curriculum for programs. You know what I mean? Or like that should be like a no-brainer. Like if it's a similar course, it should count. You get what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get that. They're trying to make it more inconvenient. But yeah, they have rules and regulations about it and everything too. But I did have to get a visa for this program. And I tell you about the process because it was definitely very interesting, and it's also very comparable to a US visa. So it was a student visa in college, and I had to get it because we were there for more than 5 months, like a full semester. And also we were doing some intern work there, unpaid. It has to be an unpaid because it would be way complicated to do it. I mean, you can't, I think there's a certain visa where you can do that, but not mine in my program. They didn't even have it as an option. It's way too complicated to do it that way, honestly. And I get it. And I wouldn't want to have to deal with that anyway when you're in college and traveling somewhere new. But I'm just letting you know. And it was called a K-9 visa. And essentially, also I'm telling you this is someone from the US, and also I grew up in like a decently smaller city, even though I did live in a city in Wisconsin, in Green Bay. So I actually had to go, okay, by the way, I have to tell you one thing about advice for your trips and everything. The first thing you should be doing before anything else is passport. You need to get the passport first before anything else. If you do not have a passport or a valid passport or one up to date or expired, you need to make sure that's done first. And then you can get the ball rolling in buying like the tickets. But the next step would be if there is any sort of visa you need, that is number one because it takes the longest, and also you can be denied or you have to appeal. So I'm just like, or maybe you won't have the right information. But also, you know what's funny? So I had to drive to the UK embassy to get a visa. I'm not kidding you. It was an appointment that you had to set up. And yeah, so that was the closest one. I had to drive 2.5 hours to get there and 2.5 hours back, which is fine. But my little hometown did not have any. Like that was the closest one to me. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go there and make it a day trip, whatever. But when you get there, you have to have certain requirements. Make sure you read everything. You can also call them too There's also like places online that you can see what the requirements are to bring with you. Make sure you bring everything, especially in my case when I was driving, I really had to make sure I had everything. So, but also I did it so early, it wouldn't have been a problem. But as someone who lived in Wisconsin, you just never know how the weather's gonna be. So that was like the perfect day to do. And also I had school and class. There was a whole bunch of stuff. Also sorority stuff. Yeah, I was a busy person. And also worked, yeah. But I wanted to get it done right away. And I was told to get it done right away. So when I went there, they asked me questions and they gave me a visa. And also I have to say, did you know that actually getting a visa is like nearly impossible? Like they can even deny you. So your program is contingent on you actually getting this approval. So, or even your passport. Like even if you don't get, like, cause there's people who can't get a passport, I guess, like depending on their history, criminal history. But also it can impact you with your visa process. There's other reasons you could get denied too. But yeah, or maybe appeal it. I'm not exactly sure that answer, but mine was a for sure yes. Because I was really young and had no issues, no criminal record, like nothing. So I didn't even have like an unpaid speeding ticket, nothing, you know, like, yeah. So I don't even think I had a car accident at that point. Yeah, no, not even a car accident. So they gave me one and they're like, okay, we'll let her go. Oh, also another thing too, I have to say this about traveling abroad. You normally have to have like a certain GPA to even get in the program. Sometimes they'll work with you depending on yourself. Like sometimes they don't care about your current GPA. They may care about more like your last semester. So it just depends on the program or like if they're looking to fill seats. But I'm just telling you, as someone who went on the trip, they just had to make sure that you'll be okay. And especially with the extra pressure of being there, unless if you already traveled, then they may actually give you more reason to go because you'd be helpful with other people. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, once I got my visa, they put a sticker in my passport of this visa and I had to present it when I was leaving the country. But I was gonna tell you too, so the process for actually completing my study abroad, okay, I have to tell you too, when it comes to studying abroad, my two programs were completely different. So I had to buy a flight for the UK one, but that's okay because I got to choose how expensive it was, and I also got to fly with one of the girls in the group, which worked out perfectly. We ended up taking a cab together because the cabs were expensive. Oh yeah, the cabs are expensive there. Don't take a cab. Take the subway. Just do it. Just do it. You're gonna regret it. It's like New York City level. Yeah, it's really bad. It's probably even worse now. But I'm telling you, if someone was a little intimidated at first, just do it. You can figure it out. But yeah, you could also walk. But I was gonna say too, the programs itself are way different. So the other program had a flight booked and I flew together and I had to fly alone if I wanted to. If not, I could choose someone in my group to fly with. I mean, they didn't recommend that, but like you had an option because we all like kind of met each other, if that makes sense at that point. Actually, we had a meeting, so I had to go meet them, everyone, and we had a meeting before we flew out, which was smart. You want to know the dumbest reason that you can be deported on a UK visa is actually missing too much class. You can get deported, and even the smartest people probably wouldn't know that and probably could get deported because it's way different rules in other countries. Like in the United States, they don't even care about if you come to class, unless if you're like a language major or like maybe even like legal. It just depends. But most classes do not have like, you have to be there, if it makes sense. My best advice to you to not get deported while you're abroad is to make sure you look up the rules and regulations of that country before you head out. And you can even ask your program directors, you can ask other people who've been there before, you can also ask the embassy. There's a million people you can ask for information. You can even look it up online, but it is good to have that knowledge because every country is different and it's so finicky and you don't want to end up in a situation where something happens or it's revoked.